explicitly focused on as players that we think are going to be very exciting to kind of watch develop throughout the course of this year. And now you look at what they have around them, the pieces, they have the ability and the capacity, I think, to reach a very, very high. Of course, here it is, a matchup against some of the most prolific talent in EMEA very early on in the year. So where are they at now and where they'll be, 6 months down the line, I think are two very different things. But if they're close now, then what a great sign it would be for their future.
Oh, you could bet at least that much. Ataraxia, though, or Team Peps, we've given you guys all the information. You tell us what you think. I know we got a lot of Armies fans out in the chat. Team Peps number 2, Ataraxia number 1. This team's garnered a huge reputation as of recently, and honestly, you gotta love the French fan base. They always are there to back their team, even whether you're rooting for them or not. Like,
even though you just hated on them, like right from the rip.
I mean, look. As an American, it's just in my blood to do it, but I gotta respect them as fans, man. A great team, great community. And now they line up against Helb. This time, not rearing the Reinhardt, at least not for this point. Krandop taking good control of the high ground. Ataraxia are gonna concede that in lieu of gathering point control for themselves.
Yeah, something to make mention of is, even though we did see the Rhines before, we had to restart the map. So this is a different sub-map, which is why you see that alteration happening from Ataraxia. You see Help on the Winston. They're going to incorporate that dive a little bit. See what they can get done, because high ground right now in control by Team Peps. Ataraxia, though, controlling the objective for now.
But yeah, now it comes down to who's tanking to staying longer down there, and with the Winston being able to jump up and pressure. Now it's Ataraxia with the dive. The Reinhardt can't regroup with the team to help defend them. They peel away the monkey nevertheless. It's Ataraxia forced away. Team Peps nearly garnering themselves a first hit. Krandop dropped low though, and now the resources are shifted towards the main tank of Team Peps, who are calmly taking all the pressure, nearly taking down himself as Hybrid though. Drop comes in, Team Peps get the point. If they could get a rotate up on the high ground on top of the just to try and secure the position, but they still don't have that rotation that they wanted.
This is looking pretty safe here for Team Peps, because Ataraxia has to engage them, and now with Hera gone, that's so much of their burst potential, and now Peps can just push out his team in red.
That was a super magnetic grenade, I'll tell you what. One pick's enough to do it. Ataraxia playing it safe and backing away, but how do you get a safe engage on this now? Now that Krandop isn't going to be forced to drop, it's going to be much harder.
Yeah, Team Peps can just hold out on this high ground. Ataraxia has to go to them. They have a lot of ultimates to help pressure forward, but Team Peps certainly have some defensive options they can rely on, especially if Kellogg can get that ult, but they don't even need it. Here's caught again.
That's a second first pick onto the DPS of Ataraxia. 50% going to crest over the point. The monkey's going to go down on top of that. He might be able to get out, but he's lucky to do at least that. Help forced away. They feed away numerous ultimates to the likes of Team Peps, who are going to use it to bolster their position and make this even harder.
But obviously, at this point, one thing that has to change is Ataraxia have to find a way to insulate Hero just a little bit better in their rotations prior to the engagement. So, I mean, there's a couple of ways of doing that, but I mean, Team Peps, who are playing a composition that does have some pick potential and some poke, Ataraxia are the ones that are supposed to be looking for the picks, and they're the ones getting picked. Now, though, they're going to have 5 ults, so it's now or never.
This is a big engagement. Jump from hell. Kitsune rush thrown in. Pulse Bomb connects as well onto the main tank of Team Peps. An excellently timed Immortality Field, though, peels the whole thing away. A sound barrier to re-up their time in this fight. Team Peps have engaged this beautifully, and it's Ataraxia at the end of the day with the low health bars. Here are getting picked first yet again. All 3 times in a row. It's traded back for Kellogg's, but the damage has been done. Peps have wiped this team off the planet, and at no point during this point did it look like Ataraxia stood a chance.
Yeah, that is Team Peps putting on a clinic. And man, I mean, it feels like brains of Ataraxia were, I guess, just as scrambled as mine were trying to get their name out. But 1-0 lead there for them now. And I think, again, even though you see this Reinhardt composition coming out, where I think a lot of teams would opt for some dive looks, this is the prowess of this team. They're just so composed. You see Krandop on the Reinhardt. We talked about that already, about how good of a tank he is. Even when you're talking about certain specialists on this character, Krandop can go toe-to-toe, but now we have that opportunity to really get into the mirror, and I think Ataraxia should look a lot better now that we see them in this composition, as opposed to what they were starting with here. I really curious to see how this pans out.
I don't think we're out of the woods yet. There is another wild card here that we haven't talked about, and that's the Maze. The May versus May match was incredibly difficult. And as for last season, Naga was one of the players that I highlighted the most when it came to May, and this is why. Oh, hell, shoved in a corner like he would a locker in high school and done all the damage unto the immortality field. Not even close to saving him despite the recent buff, and Peps absolutely steamroll Ataraxia through a first fight.
So much pressure from one single cast of an ability. Naga, I mean, pretty much solidified that team fight on his own. Obviously, Peps came through and followed up, but Ataraxia is going to have to keep that in their mind. Certainly remain cognizant of the fact that Naga is looking for those opportunities. So when they get caught into these kind of tight corridors like you see here, that's where Hell can get very, very exposed. So watch their approaches as they're going to actually feign this one.
Bandit going to the low ground. They got a pressure out point. Wall stops the charge. Wall's off Crandop. Some nice rerouting over the side of the point, though. It's going to keep him alive in Immortality Field with an Amplification Matrix. Means even more healing going to Crandop, but a series of 4 or 5 headshots in a row from Hira. Dear God, that is more damage than any one man should have to force down in his life. The point eventually flips to Ataraxia, but they still have to convert here, and they do.
I think that's one thing that Ataraxia have to rely on a little bit more. Just kind of deny Naga the ability to play make through the wall, and then open up into more of these brawl scenarios where you can let players like Hira and Kanale really cook. Like, I mean, obviously Hybrid, Naga, they're a great DPS line, but I think the best way through for Ataraxia is to make sure that they can mitigate early disasters and engagements and allow the fight to take a little bit longer like this.
Well, now it's them looking for an early engagement because they had that Amplification Matrix. Continuing to move forward, in fact. They're not taking no for an answer with this fight, but unfortunately, I think they will. Relatively cleanly disengaged by Peps. They'll wait for Hybrid to come back and try it again.
Oh, Psycho's going to be down a wall cooldown here too, though, so if Team Peps engage quickly, they might have that to their advantage, at least in the opener. I think they know that, and you can see Ataraxia just backing off. They don't want to go 1-to-1 until that cooldown is back.
Rotate all the way around the map. Team Peps are trying to do what Ataraxia did earlier and zone away the Deadeye. When you're walking into the Blizzard, it's a little bit tricky. Blizzard also falls short, though. Although stop the engagement of Team Peps, both teams kind of using a 6-foot pole to keep each other away, but now at the ultimate's beginning to wane. It comes down to the Shatters and Naga's Blizzard of his own. The Shatter 180 connect Crandop, but it's only Crandop, and with the sound barrier now coming in from either side, health bars remain upwards. Ataraxia forced off the point, though, and the Amplification Matrix being the final say in the fight. A flip goes over to Team Peps, but we are far from done. There is one Shatter left out of every ultimate used, all 12 of them in one fight. If Kanale can get that Amplification Matrix off, he will not, though. He goes down. Psycho next, and Ataraxia, after being wrestled off of the point, will go down.
I love that play from Helves, kind of staving off the aggression from Peps when they garnered an advantage. But Team Peps in the end, I mean, just pulling all those resources from the beginning really gave them an opportunity here. And now they still have this Earth Shatter that you were talking about in that last fight. And on top of that, they also have positional control. And this could be huge as long as they can get away from some of that early pressure. Once the window drops from Kanale, Team Peps should have a good shot.
Holy!
Oh, he's stuck. What is...
I'm not certain that's how that's supposed to work. Naga gets in though, throws the wall out as well. It might not have been a massive shatter, but they get stuffed. So, like, mission accomplished, I guess. Walk out Amplification Matrix. Beautifully walled by Naga. Same thing goes for either side, though, as both tanks are dropped low. Held and Crandop fall at the same time. You look to the DPS in moments like this to really clutch out the fight. Hybrid getting rained on by Hira, who steps forward bravely into the crosshairs of his opposing member. But Team Peps, the DPS holds strong. They hit their shots, and it's going to be a second point their way in a first map as well.
And one little thing I want to kind of point out as well, for anybody that's climbing the ladder right now, trying to get some value out of a player, or a character rather, like Cassidy, really time those rolls too, because that's what we're seeing Hybrid doing here, and that's going to really help you in some of these duels, timing out your rolls, getting that damage reduction during the animation. It's a tight window, but if you can find it, you can really benefit in the long run.
I mean, I think this was just a masterpiece so far by Team Peps. Really insane organization. And a focus on one particular comp. We know Crandop's got it in him to run that Reinhardt pretty much wherever you want him to. But the pathing, the routing, the execution of everything was so spot on that it was clear that not only were they planning for this, but they had planned very specifically for every scenario that they'd be running into.
Yeah, I think that's one benefit that they have over a lot of other teams is that veteranship, is that experience that they're going to have that most teams are going to struggle to match them at. Obviously, there are some really prolific players. There are returning players. There is a lot of talent here in EMEA, especially. I think this is, we tout this as one of the deepest talent pool regions that is out there right now. If you really follow the scene, you are certainly aware of that. But as we get ready to gear up into map number 2, which is going to be Blizzard World, I do think that Peps, this is going to continue to be something that I think, bring up constantly in their matchups, is the experience that they have to work not even just the Reinhardt composition, but also be adaptable with all other types of compositions as well, especially given their roster depth.
Yeah, the roster depth is the next part, right? That really starts to tell you, hey, this team's got more to them than just what we're seeing right now. Yes, with the BAP buffs and everything, we're expecting to see a lot of the Baptiste, a lot of the Rush, especially come today when all the teams are just assuming that it's really good, and rightfully so. But I got to applaud Ataraxia for being willing to still go outside of the box, play those dive comps where they expect them to be played, but they're just getting out-rotated by Peps. I think this is a largely positional game, and the shot calling and experience on Peps' side, the speed at which they rotate, is faster than Ataraxia are able to call right now.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to the fact that these players, obviously are used to playing together. You can see that the experience allows them to adapt to one another a little bit more quickly. And maybe there's a little bit of catch-up being performed here by Ataraxia. But if they do get that catch-up, if they do clear that hurdle, then they're going to be a contender for sure. Absolutely. Not even just in this matchup, but in the tournament at large. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. It's just about when does that really click? And I think so far we have seen a couple of glimpses of it clicking, but there are certainly, I think when you talk about consistency, that's probably the main concern that we're talking about at this level of play. Team Peps obviously has a lot more of that, especially in the department of team play and synergy. When you look at like the wall cooldowns and the coordination that is required to pull some of these things off in a high tempo composition like the Rush, well, that's going to give them all the difference. But when you move over to a map where you can still play that Rhine Rush, but there's more open space to play around with, that's where I think Ataraxia can maybe kind of level the playing field. And that's why I think we're seeing them going over to Blizzard World.
Yeah, having a little bit more space also opens the space for more playmaking, more flanks, things like that. With a team like Ataraxia that has a lot of those younger guns on it, that has a lot of those newer players to contenders. Yes, we saw them last season, but kind of pulling together on a team where they can grow together, as you mentioned. I mean, like we said, look at this team in 6 months. They're going to be insane, but I'm curious to see how they adapt right now. Because this is a team that already, you could be up like 2-0, 99% against them, but you kind of never doubt their ability to just turn that clutch on, because they're all still at that point in their careers where like that is really the point of a lot of these players, is that they can pop off at any moment.
Yeah, I think it's funny when we do talk about, newer talent and they've been in the scene for like 18 months and we are still talking about them as like newer talent, but in the grand scheme of everything in EMEA,
new talent's different in EMEA and NA. Yeah, I was very
different. New talent in NA is like, oh, this is their first tournament. Everything else is a veteran. EMEA, there's players that are here that have been playing in contenders and Overwatch League and everything for the last 6 years straight, pretty much. And they obviously have the talent to show from that experience as well. And I think obviously Peps, having players like Naga, Kelix, Hybrid, Wolf, and even, I mean, some of the players that maybe people know a little bit less, which is crazy to say, and Zirian and Krandop. I mean, there is just so much experience there. It's tough to go toe-to-toe when you've been playing for a third of that, a fourth of that, even though still a fourth of that is a significant amount of pro experience, to be honest.
EU's just built different, I'll tell you what. Team Peps will line up exactly how they did in the last match, how we expect them to, save for Kiriko coming out from Zirion. Somebody who is, from my book, one of the best Kirikos in EU. I would actually put them kind of toe-to-toe with Kanail, who I thought was another fabulous Kiriko last season.
Former teammates, too.
Yeah. A big matchup there. Kanail hovering in Ana to go with the ball, but this comp is likely to change.
Yeah, I mean, we have obviously seen Helve play the Hammond, so this is actually going to stick here. They're going to be trying to play this a little bit more chaotic, and I am very intrigued by this because, again, we've already kind of opened this up and prefaced that Helve and Ataraxia probably want to go for that mirror, despite Peps obviously looking confident in that. I think Peps would be shocked by us saying that. But Ataraxia, they came to this map because they clearly had a vision for it, and this is it.
Got an idea. the wall to protect the rotate, something we actually weren't seeing earlier, and we saw a lot of Baptistes die for it, so smart stuff by Team Peps. A lot of Reinhardt play into mobile compositions is just clever routing like this, and Team Peps know exactly where they're going. They want to force it on out of position. They want to put Canale under a lot of pressure. That's exactly what they're doing. Yes, the Ball and Tracer are lurking ever close behind them, but until they close that gap, it's not over. They manage to, and it's Hira paying the price for it. Naga 180 headshot Psycho. A delectable little shot. Cleanly severs his head from his shoulders, and that'll be more than enough to tick over a point A.
Pretty easily kind of lawnmowered over everything. I mean, one thing that we know about this Ataraxia composition is that you need to surround and pressure, just kind of suffocate this rush composition, but clearly not able to do so. Team Peps had already taken a kill before Ataraxia could get into their defensive positions and kind of just take their shots from every angle. So now Ataraxia are going to be swapping things up. See health back again onto the Winston. Psycho has even made a swap. There's going to be a lot of focus, I think, now onto dealing with single targets, just punishing anybody that just steps out even just a little bit from this Peps ball. And if they can do that, Ataraxia may have some hope here and getting a stop.
Yeah, Team Peps, they can stay together as a unit, though, keep themselves alive, and keep Crandop at the front of it. They're going to be feeling pretty good. Crandop's back, jumps up on the high ground. Charges makes a lot of space. Remember, every second they're looking at Crandop, this is moments when they're not standing and blowing up other members of Team Peps, like you were mentioning, so it becomes a lot more difficult. And Crandop's doing his job well and making that space like he is right now. Forced low, though, and down into the courtyard. It gets even harder now that the angles are open. The anti-nade also nearly connects, forcing Crandop back. Application Matrix tries to peel for it, but the bubble just far too good here from Helv, who takes down Crandop, goes down himself, though, and all of a sudden things are on a much more level playing field.
Yeah, absolutely, and they also stopped the cart here, so this is a good start for Ataraxia. I think obviously the focus is clearly on Crandop and making sure that 90% of the fight, 90% of the rotation is going to be spent with Crandop taking shield damage, not able to swing, not able to charge, not able to get in position and make plays. They're trying to shut Crandop completely out of the mix.
He certainly seems well in the mix right now. Oh, Psycho doesn't know! Oh my god! Somebody tell him he has his AirPods in, man. Cart continues to get pushed as Helv forces the Primal out to drop back. This man looks about as good as dead. Transcendence comes out to try and save the Primaling Monkey. Now as Zen is using this tick into the back line, this is a little all over the place from Ataraxia. I'm not gonna lie. There is a duplicate in tow from Psycho that can maybe save the day, but Ataraxia are completely out of ultimates after this. They have to make it count, and even that isn't going. Team Peps have got this one in the bag, and they're not stopping anytime soon.
Pretty easy second cap here for Peps. I mean, Ataraxia held them out, and I understand this composition. I understand what they're trying to accomplish, but with the swap here, clearly they feel like it's not working out, getting the success that they were hoping for. You can see also that change coming in from the live server. The BAP change, the 25% health.
That's a lot more, man.
Why that looked... I mean, visually you can see it.
It matters so much more when you're looking at something like a tank, because like 25% of Orion's HP is significantly more comparative to what you get on squishies. But third point up, 4 minutes down. Team Peps have got the whole world in their hand. Hell switching over to his third tank of the round to try and keep Crandop at bay. This man can simply not be stopped with ultimates in deck for Team Peps. There are very few ways through this other than directly through it. For Ataraxia, who try to make their way forward, avoid at least the Deadeye, but now it's the tank force back. Hell, bolstered by a nano boost, does manage to stay alive though, and Hira picks off the rest. Ataraxia breathe a sigh of relief.
And that's another thing too that I think we haven't actually even touched on together, is the fact that there was also the Ash change. The Bob is going to be hyper focusing the target that you're shooting. I feel like
that's a slept on buff.
It really is, yeah. I mean, it's if you're able to get that first shot off onto the Immortality, the Bob can help you finish it off, and then you can start focusing the tank or whatever you're trying to get on. Especially when you're trying to use a Discord orb as well. Now the Bob is shooting the discorded target on top of it.
That could cause a lot of problems, but it's not here for now. Instead, just Crandop with Shatter. Kellex waiting to build up that sound barrier, but he's also racing to the Transcendence. Crandop charges forward. This might have been overzealous. This might have been a tad much. Immortality field is good now, but it's not going to save you from that.
Well, Ataraxia, they're able to stabilize. Took a little bit of damage in that, we'll call it just it was a play by Crandop. but nonetheless, they were able to get him down, and the rest of Team Peps as well. And with 2.5 minutes on the clock here, Team Peps, certainly they've been halted, and you like this play as well from Helv, just to deny things just a little bit. But I kind of would have loved to have seen Ataraxia maybe pull forward and see at least if they could get Calyx there, but not the case. They do have Transcendence going into this next fight, though. It should be big to help them sustain through the Earth Shatter that Trandop is obviously looking for. He was looking for in the last fight.
There's a lot of sustain tools, and with the shield already wearing away here for Trandop, sustain tools for Team Peps are few and far between. In fact, the Soundberry comes out early. There's almost certainly going to be better Transcendence from Bia to allow them to see the way through this fight, which should, in theory, be a win. Crandop's trying to find an angle to shatter here, but Crandop is playing bodyguard for the rest of his team fabulously. 200 HP and a Transcendence on deck. Crandop does not know what to do against this. He's found his way to the backline, but all too late. 100 HP to his name, and he can't even find the Q button. This man, for the past 2 fights straight, has found himself on the wrong end of the beat stick.
Yeah, Helv, I mean, for this entire map, they've been trying to deal with Crandop, trying to take him out a lot of these fights, and it feels like finally with the Orisa and with the help of Canale as well, and the focus, the hyper focus from Hira, Psycho dealing with Calyx and Zirion, so they're not getting as much consistent support to Crandop. I mean, Crandop has definitely been mitigated. His impact is lessened.
Oh, for sure. This is difficult, though. Hira, though, the off angle from the flank! Oh my god, it's highway robbery! Like an old western! He just got out. He just got out clean! That's insane. That is actually wild. We have been chipping this time bank down. 50 seconds left now for Team Peps. What seemed like an unstoppable push seems to have grinded to a halt.
I just can't believe we just witnessed a hard Ashe Zen swing on final point of Blizzard World against Team Peps. And it worked. And it worked beautifully. And now Team Peps, really, I mean, this is their last chance, and they're all purpled here. Naga smartly... Ooh, okay.
My god! Naga had his brain surgically removed by Psycho there. A hail of bullets. Another quick one's one. Maybe too quick. Yeah, you might have actually given them another chance. Wait, no, never mind. Crandop's actually 9 feet in their back line. Take it down here. There's no way. Could he actually live here? He kind of could. Oh, Bia's there. Okay. I forgot. Yeah, Bia was over on the other side. Cleaned up by Ataraxia. This is good and done. My goodness. Incredible changes, though. The Orisa comes in. The focus shifts. The off angles from the Zenyatta and the Ashe, I think, are the two things that really highlight that they started to understand how Team Peps were playing, right? Team Peps wanted to take these long routes to get to the team, and Ataraxia takes even more extreme rotations of their own in order to counter the Ashe and the Zenyatta were. It's a nice flank to have, but when you think about it, like, yeah, what was Team Peps' plan to get on top of them? If they're on the opposing high ground, they have no real access to those players, so really just abusing angles that I don't think Team Peps were ever thinking about.
And I think the interesting thing to talk about here, too, is the fact that the game plan never changed for Ataraxia. It was always the same from start to finish.
It was better executed at the end, you know?
I think execution was obviously a factor, and I think the route at which they tried to incorporate that strategy did shift, obviously. When we talk about the different looks, when you see, okay, we're going to be going ahead with the Winston, where we can corral them, and then we can use Psycho to have the ability to just focus out that pressure. You maintain the Zenyatta so the Discord orb is there, and we're just going to try to make sure that we have everything in our capacity to just burst down Crandop. Okay, well, that didn't work. We need a little bit more frontline control. They're just going wherever they want. Well, what's the best way to do that? Well, how about we swap Helv to Orisa? We, of course, at that stage, we don't have to deal with their backline. Well, okay, Psycho can go over to Tracer. I mean, nothing really changed in their game plan except for how they went about it until they found something that really worked. And I love to see that from Ataraxia, their willingness to try different ways to accomplish the same goal.
Now their goals changed a lot. The shoe's on the other foot. They got to attack this map, and they're taking the same composition to do it. Psycho's bringing back the Echo, I think just because they want a little bit of that longer range pressure, but generally, the goal is the same. Urix, and they've gotten pretty good at it by now.
See if they can get the same value here on their attack. I mean, obviously, defensive position, you're forcing Team Peps to make rotations, and now you're the one that has to push into them. So those flanks not going to be happening as frequently. Maybe still as successfully if they can get that, but frequency is certainly going to be hampered, I would have to imagine. You can see this engage still going to be in a good spot for Peps, and somehow Helv snuck out of that?
The man is liquid, let me tell you what. Psycho, on the other hand, not liquid, instead dead.
Yeah, that's a rough one for Ataraxia because they were actually... I mean, they were in a great position there. Wall comes up, that cooldown's gone. You can actually take the 5v5, but without their Tracer to kind of pull some of that backline out, or at least pull some marking from their opposition. Oh, here comes the wall again.
What a wall! Walls off the heals to Helv! Doesn't necessarily wall out the exit, but the heals being taken away while Helv's HP was already dangerously low was more than enough.
I think that's kind of going back to what we saw in the first map too, right? Naga just being so smart about the usage of that resource. I think Team Peps are going to have to rely on that here because they were on the road to finishing the map. Obviously, they didn't get there, but they certainly have the capacity to full hold here if they play this well. They need to play these short angles, make sure that Helv can't split them or bully Crandall.
Oh, forget Helv. We're looking at Hera, and now it's Helv caught out behind them, and they're wondering how on earth did we even get here. The Orisa melts like butter, and Kanale is still not past the statue.
Yeah, playing these flanks from the low ground, you're just going to get speed boosted on, so I think that's one adaptation that Ataraxia are going to have to make, and I like this as well from Naga. The fact that he's sitting up top, he's going to be in a great position to both wall and also drop his Blizzard from a great position where it may not actually get eaten by Helv or anyone, rather. But on top of that, also denying that ability to rotate to that far left side and get high ground for Hera. So really kind of forces Hera to play this other angle where you can actually LOS away from him now a little bit.
Now that we've got ultimates, oh wow, was that even meant for Psycho? I'm not even certain that was meant for Psycho, but great shot, Naga, nevertheless. I'm going to give you benefit of the doubt. Randolph dropped low. The shield doesn't block it anymore, my friend. But Hack still goes through it for one reason or another. The Bob also is going to help finish this one off. Ataraxia quickly end the fight with a swarm of ultimates and pull Team Peps in the meantime.
A lot of time taken away, but ultimately with Ataraxia in this position now, I mean, clearly they use a lot of resources to get to this stage, but Peps in a similar state with their ultimate economy, and now with that kill there as well, you can see Team Peps, I mean, they're forcing themselves forward. This is just going to be a question of how much time can Peps take away, because there's no winning this fight now.
Yeah, you lose forward spawn as well, which is going to lose high ground control to the Orisa, which, you know, I'm not sure if I love that. I think giving the Ashes high ground position real comfy for her, and it's going to be a lot harder for the Reinhardt to speed on and take that space than it would be for him to hold it.
Oh, still though, Hybrid is bringing up that Sojourn, and I think the Sojourn with the pick potential that you get, that instantaneous burst pressure, the lethality that it's going to have, certainly going to help Team Peps here if they ever manage to get into a situation where they can brawl. But look at this, Helv is behind Krandop here.
I don't think that's a problem. I think that is something Ataraxia are very okay with. Krandop is trying to go for these charges, and rightfully so. He expects his team to be behind, and they expect the speed to come through. But Ataraxia, notably Helv, are doing a great job of effectively closing in once Krandop is past and not allowing the team to follow him.
Yeah, that's the other thing that Orisa is pretty good about too. It's just body blocking a lot of that support as well. That's going to come in. If you can get that baton spinning around, you're going to be able to deny a lot of that support. Krandop, though, working his way towards that next Earth Shatter. Ataraxia, I think, is going to be looking to actually boost up Helv and just see if they can bully him off.
Speaking of bullying, backline under a lot of pressure now. Helv, though, does get bullied off eventually. Kanale with the nano, and sadly no tank to use it on. Team Peps will reclaim their high ground and win a fight. Support's looking around the backline, but they should be next to go. 1 minute 52 to cap point B, and they're still in flux.
A great efficient fight there for Peps.
Kanale is taking way too long to die. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was getting into ugly territory.
Good news, though, for Peps, because now it's just time wasted for Ataraxia. However, they're going to have both their support ults in this next fight. They're going to have that combination of pulling in the Terra Surge while Helv is boosted from the Nano. Of course, a lot of support going to be coming through from Transcendence, so there's a lot of staying power for this next fight. So you like Ataraxia's chances if they can get into position without losing anybody, which is obviously a possibility when you see Pulse Bomb and you see Hybrid on the Sojourn with his ult ready as well.
I mean, this is a dynamic duo that we know can do some real work. Overclock from the high ground. And all Ataraxia can do is cower. Oh, God. Oh, God. No. Go back to the fun cam. Yeah, this guy's got a shatter and he looks pissed. Randolph wants business. Next to Fire Strike, doesn't need it. But that poor Ashe, I think, was having nightmares in the corner about what was going to happen to her in a second. And in fact, Biahu's on the wrong end of it. 49 seconds now. A whole smorgasbord of ultimates up for Ataraxia, but can they keep themselves alive?
I mean, that's the same position that they were in before. There's some pick potential from Hybrid and Naga with their ult, and now, yeah, they obviously don't have them, but you've bought time for Kelix to have a sound bearer, so there's some degree of matching that you can see between those three ultimates there. With the core of Team Peps' composition, 3 to 5, you obviously still like Ataraxia's chances, but you can't get picked, you can't get separated. Peps have the ability to just boost on anybody who is caught out. There you go.
Last resort now for Ataraxia. The Shatter tries to peel them away. Elb dropping down to the cart, trying to force that overtime. Immortality feels when Team Peps are all over them like flies from above. They rain in. Hell gives them a shot, though. He gives them a chance in hell at winning this one. Hybrid, though, looks to shut it all down. The Sojourn, nevertheless strong despite the wider appearance, gets taken down by Psycho, but he's got a balance, touching this cart and taking down the Reinhardt at the same time. Back is Hero to try and help out in the escapade. The Bob thrown at the cart to play tank. It picks up another 2. Naga's going absolutely insane, though, to try and hold on to this. He will go down eventually. And despite a pulse bomb, despite all the efforts from either side, when the dust settles, it's Ataraxia catching themselves a point C in 1 minute and 30 to even up the map scoreline.
Heroics from Psycho and Hera. This is, I mean, how many times do we need to bring this up as well? The fact that these two are just so capable in these situations where things break down and it's, okay, someone needs to step up and just make a play. And that's exactly what they get there. Peps, angry, stepping up now. They've used a lot of what they had to try to defend that. Now they don't have much, but look at this, 55 seconds left, and this could be one push away from Ataraxia stealing.
I mean, both teams on Reinhardt, both teams working with elbow grease and kerosene to try and get the job done. Not much else left than that. Immortality Field's been forced out by both ends. Krandop forcing to give up space, but the health bars remain low for the opposing side. Neutral, 1, no ultimates needed. Team Pep step forward to claim their prize.
Like one fight left. I mean, we said that last time when it was around this time marker, so depending on how quickly this next fight goes, maybe another fight, but I have to imagine this is going to be a last-ditch effort here for Ataraxia.
Shatter and Matrix is such a big advantage. I mean, you could even just solo Shatter Helv and it would be more than good enough. Helv dropped down to half HP, though. Neutral being lost desperately, but Krandop refused to shield the Immortality Field from Therion late. Every advantage did Team Peps have, yet they lost still the fight. Soundbear invested late by Bia, but they just wanted to secure it. Now it's 4 on 3 ultimates-wise, and Ataraxia have one fight to use them.
This is all going to come down to the wall. I don't think Team Peps wins this unless there's a massive shatter or a huge wall that isolates someone from Ataraxia. You can already see the Ant Matrix down. They're going to be claiming a kill already.
Shatter! Oh, and he keeps him off the card. Ataraxia, in unceremonious fashion, have taken down Team Peps on a Blizzard world that seemed unwinnable in the first 2 minutes, no less.
Yeah, I mean, in the first 2 minutes, we were starting to question, okay, obviously they came to this map for a specific
I started ordering lunch, you know?
Yeah. Gonna get out of here pretty quick. But yeah, Ataraxia battling back. Remember, it was always the same focus. We want to make sure that we can deal with Krandop, because if Krandop is out of the equation, it makes it a lot easier for us to brawl this out. If Krandop is just making a ton of plays, and this isn't a hit on Helv at all, or his playmaking ability, I just think Peps are just so good with their coordination that Krandop can do a lot because of everything else that the players around him know how to do, especially in this comp. I think Ataraxia just went about it so well.
He did, and I appreciate the not total shift in tone for this team. They stuck to it, they believed, and this is what we were talking about when we were coming into this map. Exactly what these players can do if given the moment to rise to the occasion. Every last one of the players on Ataraxia has shown us pop-off moments, has shown us that star power that they can have. And yes, they may not have the experience of these Team Peps players, but they've got the grit and determination all the same.
And I love what we got there. I think probably the MVP moment of the match. And it wasn't even just of most valuable clear. It was yours because we saw Helv just with that alley-oop, just setting up, getting that double or triple kill there with the Terra Surge, giving his players an opportunity, just giving them a shot to have some heroic moment. And that's exactly what they gave back to him. So great job all around from Ataraxia. I think that they put themselves in a great position. I'm sure Team Peps is kicking themselves right now because they feel like throughout the map they probably played better. And I think to a degree you could probably say that that is the case. But at the end of the day, Ataraxia managed to get some things together towards the end. They strung it all at the right time, and they won the map fair and square. So we're going to be moving on to a map number 3. It's going to be a couple minutes break before we get there. Definitely don't want to go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody. A quick little break. Hope you got your orange slices and did what you needed to do, because we've got business on our hands. A 1-to-1 series between these two that looked like it was going to be 2-0 for all of 5 seconds there, but Team Peps have fallen down a map, and now they've made some adaptations to try and bring this thing back.
Yeah, so we'll see if they could do something, miraculous, it feels like, on map number 3. We're going to be moving on to Rialto, and there's I think a pretty, I would say, important update, to say the least, right? I mean, there's some pertinent information here before we kind of discuss and analyze exactly what this pick means, because this map pick is actually prefaced by a swap as well. So we're going to be moving on to Rialto, and I think, you know, when I was first thinking about, okay, why Rialto? Why are we heading here? Obviously, the first inclination would be that we want to see a little bit more of that Ryan composition. Obviously, there is some, really big strengths to running that here, but they're not running Crandop anymore. It's going to be Mulfig instead. And something that we know about Peps and when we know about Mulfig is the fact that you've got Diva, you've got Sigma, I mean, there's a couple of really solid picks here that Peps could bring out that I think gets them away from some of the pain points they were experiencing on Blizzard World.
I mean, if they're trying to play into the Orisa, the Sigma's not a bad option. D.Va still floats around as a character that's not unviable in most places. And on top of that, you add in the flexibility of Rialto that almost anything goes here. I think it does make things a lot trickier. I think another reason you might want to look towards Mulfig is adaptability on attack and defense. I think as far as being able to play maps that kind of have two sides to them in terms of compositions, you might think of something like a Dorado, right? Where you almost are always going to play a Winston on the attack, but defense, things could change up a lot. I look towards Mulfig a little bit more in those situations, and I think that may be another reason why we see him on this map, if they want to run a different composition on each side.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my curiosity is piqued. I'll just be honest. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to go for. And I think that's one thing that we don't do as casters is admit that we don't really know what they're going to be.
That's the best part about this meta, though. We've got such a good. Oh, look, we had the whole Junker Queen thing. We had the whole Sojourn thing. We've reached the promised land here, Ix.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have. This is a fun time to be invested in Overwatch esports right now. There is a lot of stuff going on, both in the meta and also just in tournament play. I mean, obviously you've got Pro-Am, you've got Overwatch League coming up, you've got Contenders coming up, you've got World Cup going on. I mean, there's a lot happening. Calling All Heroes is going on pretty soon, I think, as well at some point this year. I mean, a lot to be excited about.
Overwatch stocks are on the rise. We got the One Punch Man collab. We got this going on.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Drops are happening.
There's so much when you forget about those big collabs. I mean, that's crazy.
Oh man, yeah. Invest now while you can still get in. But I'll tell you what, who's always been invested since day one? Peps fans. Those people are actually insane.
and they're players who have been playing since 2016 as well.
We're going into a map number 3 now, ladies and gentlemen. It is Rialto, picked by Team Peps to try and grab the series momentum back from the hands of Ataraxia. Ataraxia, on the other hand, also have to answer this, which I think all the questions that have been ringing through our head here, likely have not been answered by Ataraxia either. They've got to put a big old question mark as to what they're actually going into.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've been kind of flip-flopping. I think they've been playing their game. When you talk to players, they're always saying, oh, we're just playing to our strengths, we're playing our game, and it's always a question, okay, what does that actually mean? And I think one thing that Ataraxia has in their heads right now is the fact that their game is opposing your game, right? I mean, that is one thing that I think I'm seeing throughout this series is the fact that Ataraxia is constantly attacking the strengths of their opposition. When you look at the Reinhardt composition, it's obviously centric around that character. Well, if we delete it from the game, well, all of a sudden that composition falls apart, and that's our game. So Ataraxia, I think, are going to be trying to figure out, okay, how can we accomplish that here, show off our versatility, and deal with this Sigma composition. A lot of spam damage, a lot of pick potential here from Peps. That's what Ataraxia is looking to accomplish. You can see them looking for some picks of their own as well.
It's hard. I mean, our question was answered. What is Mulfig here to do? It's to play the Sigma, which is largely, it seems like, to play into the Orisa, right? Sigma plays very well into Orisa. One of the few, actually, good matchups into her, at least in my opinion. Now with Health wrapping around the backline, we see the answer to said Sigma in the Wrecking Ball. The Widowmaker stays up for Hera as well. Hybrid, though, matches it and takes down Kanale.
That's going to be such a difficult matchup for Ataraxia, looking for those picks when you know that you have to contend with Hybrid. There's a lot of shield control as well that Mulfig can offer the rest of the team. Really, I think Team Peps has a great composition set up in dealing with Ataraxia. So anybody that pressures into the backline, tries to focus down Zirion, is going to be met by Kelix, is going to be met by Mulfig. Naga can go offensive, or he can mark Psycho. I mean, there's a lot of adaptability that can happen in just these 5 characters that Peps have selected.
I mean, this is a composition that wants to play you from range a lot of the time. Keep Hybrid doing what he does best. Hera, though, well, just said range, but he's here to help dive. In fact, the hack doesn't even go through on the Mulfig. Oh, so spooky. Okay, we're good. Helm will fall in here as well. The dive has been promptly deflected by the likes of Team Peps, and honestly, without so much as breaking a sweat.
Someone somewhere heard you make that noise and is clipping that, but
I don't think it's the first time I've made that somebody nearly falling off the map. I feel like I can recount at least another 2 times.
I don't know. That's a worry for you, I think, but
yeah. Oh my god, dude. Helva's getting cyberbullied. That was rough.
So in this next fight here, one thing I'm looking at, obviously Hira's putting on a ton of pressure, and you can see these flanks coming out from Hira and Psycho, especially through stealth when you're looking at the Sombra, but Hybrid's going to have those infra sights. They're going to be able to get a lot of information, try to dissect this next attack from Ataraxia, and obviously with the Sombra already exposed, they don't need to use it, and in the meantime, Molfig just buying time, and they're getting kills.
Yeah, I mean, that is the idea, right? You have a limited amount of time and space to give up in how much space is in this courtyard, but as long as your DPS are finding picks in that time that you're buying them, you're going to be all right, and then hopefully the cart can reset back to the corner, and then your kind of wick burns down continuously in how much space you have with that cart.
This is the one here, though, right? I mean, Peps, they've got their defensive ultimates, but Ataraxia is going to attack everything. They have the EMP coming through, they have Primal Rage, they have the offensive pressure boon that's going to be coming in with the Kitsune Rush. You can see Hybrid just looking for Hira as he's trying to get in position, and Ataraxia, they're already forcing stuff out, actually.
I mean, Ataraxia just want to get them off the high ground, and the Primal Rage did a lot of that work for them, but with Hira being dislodged, the EMP literally being miles away, and it's detected by the Infra Sight. So well timed by Hybrid. Even if you're not doing anything here, you're delaying the EMP and letting your teammates get back in position. Hira had nowhere to go.
Just like that, that's a man advantage as well for Peps, and it's
a fight win.
They don't, and exactly, and on top of that, they also just don't even have to pop their Transcendence. Zirian has just been so safe. The rest of Peps have been obviously under pressure, but not enough to force that resource away from them. Now Ataraxia are going to combat one-to-one with their sound barrier. Of course, they do have the EMP, but
it's not
are they going to be able to be
great.
lethal with that first push behind the EMP, or is Zirian just going to and then they're going to put the sound barrier out and really not get a big
the
effect.
Venom Mine's so good too. Hybrid's playing in Narnia. This EMP's not free. They're going to try and force them down onto the cart and then use the EMP, but Peps don't oblige. Peps hold on to their high ground, clutching it near to their chest. The EMP comes out practically solo onto Molfig, but it's enough value. The reaction time of Zerion not enough to beat out the DPS ultimates of Ataraxia, who finally capture themselves a point A, but not without a whole lot of difficulty.
A lot of quickness there for Ataraxia. I mean, explosive in some of their engagements. We saw them call that hack onto Naga. He got disappeared. Literally, Thanos snapped out of the server for a second there. And then onto Molfig as well. So Zirian didn't get very much value at all from the Transcendence. Bought a little bit of time, sure, but beyond that, I think they were looking for
none.
a potential fight win, and obviously didn't come close. But Team Peps, of course, can still play off to this high ground where Helv is going to take a lot of pressure trying to force them off of that position.
Oh, I mean, that just looked about as fun as it probably was for Psycho to experience.
Not at all.
Because we're doing this. Oh my god, wait. I don't know if I love that Kitsune Rush. That was a lot of times, like, trying to turn a fight around with it is quite a bold choice, especially out of a corner like that when Pep still have the high ground. Nail goes for it, but unfortunately comes up short.
I think there's also a big question about, okay, are we going to be able to actually generate another ult for this to, be worth using as well? And you see the swap as well. Anna coming out, whether that was decided upon prior to that ult usage or not sure, but nonetheless, they're going to look to see if they can get some value out of it. And luckily for them, they do have that man advantage. Naga's going to cancel it out, though, and that's huge, too, because Sound Barrier's out.
Yeah, Bia had the Sound Barrier, no opportunity. Psycho continues to push the cart, and maybe gives him a chance. The Tracer duel is going to stop that right in its tracks. High ground still belongs to Team Peps, and Ataraxia have been craning their necks upwards since the beginning of this map, and it's not going to stop anytime too soon here.
Not at all. You see, obviously, these Tracers just duking it out right now. If one gets the kill, then a huge advantage for their team, and in the meantime, Helv needs to get out alive and does so this time around.
I mean, there's that Sound Barrier from Bia. Not sure how much value Ataraxia are getting out of it. Apparently enough as it allows them to contest the high ground long enough to take Hybrid off it. The health bar of Molfig remains low, but not zero until Psycho finally gets his hands on it. Point B as well is going to crest over with nigh on 0 seconds on the clock.
Somehow, okay, I was going to say, no shot. Naga gets out alive. Psycho needs to be able to hunt that one down, and he does. And now nobody's able to touch. So that is the second point captured now by Ataraxia, who have been pretty consistent, towards the very bitter end of a phase of this map so far through their attack. But Peps, giving that one up at the very end, and now you can see some swaps as well, where Wolf actually bringing out the D.Va, and what a great catch there. Oh!
Is it? No, it's still fine. Oh my god! The Help takes them all into the drink! A third in Kellex, looking for a fourth in Zarian. Introduces them to H2O, not giving life, but instead the sweet, sweet embrace of death. Look at this.
I love that setup, though, from Mulf. I think both of us had that same reaction. We were like, oh, what a great play from Mulf to set up, make sure that he can deny the javelin toss, but then you saw everybody fly forward and then fly right off the map right after. Great play from Helv to adapt to that situation. But now, an opportunity here for Hira, an opportunity for Psycho as well, looking to see what they can do, looking for those picks. Can they find them?
Oh, well, that is certainly the most important pick. 30 seconds on the clock, too. Yeah, you gotta fall back quick here if you're Ataraxia.
Only one more shot here. Yeah, exactly. Ataraxia need to make sure that they go in it with all 5 members of their team, especially because they have to know at this stage that their economy far exceeds what Team Peps is bringing to the table here. As we see Mulf back, of course, on the Sigma. So really Peps is just looking to see if they can find a pick and utilize this respawn advantage to their advantage before Ataraxia finds the kills that they need to find.
Sigma was largely brought out to make sure this Orisa couldn't get so much value, but instead, a trance that's been forced out by a pulse bomb is going to make it a lot harder. Peps has to find an engagement in this fight early, and they do. Health falls. Hira kept at bay by Mulfig, and Ataraxia can feel this map slipping away from their hands. A transcendence of their own is about the only thing left keeping them in this one. The Ant Matrix, though, pushing them further and further away by the moment. Gonna give them the final last bit of push they need to stop this cart. Team Peps, hold on to Rialto, but to be honest, only just.
Yeah, I mean, this was looking like a situation where it could end on first point. It's pretty close to ending on second point. So I think Ataraxia
reminiscent of Blizzard World.
Yeah, that's hey, and guess what? They won that one. So Ataraxia, I think, have to be pretty happy with what they came away with, all things said and done, especially when you look at what Hybrid was accomplishing early on in this map on the defense with the Widow. That's one of the specialties that Hybrid brings to the table, is that pick potential, especially on those snipers. Ultimately, some of these plays that just keep happening. I mean, you look back at Blizzard World, and it was a play like this that actually set them up to win the map, and what do you know? It might be the difference maker here in map number 3 as well.
Bought Ataraxia space, bought them everything, now they just gotta defend it. Easier said than done against the likes of Team Peps. Now on the attacking side, they get to play much more into their own wheelhouse. I think they understand that Ataraxia, being on defense, need to play the most adaptable composition they can, and for them, that's almost always going to come down to this Orisa, and I think that's, again, why they bring Mulfig in, to get that Sigma into Orisa matchup, something they feel pretty confident winning.
I just love all these adaptations that Ataraxia keeps coming out with. It's got to keep Team Peps on their toes. I mean, it's keeping me on my toes, trying to decipher, okay, what exactly are they looking to attack here? Because it feels like that is the main thing that they are trying to accomplish, is attack the strengths of your opposition, mitigate those threats as much as possible to give your side the advantage. Now Team Peps are coming out with something a little bit different. We've seen Mulf obviously on the D.Va before. Now I'm bringing it back up, and I imagine he's going to have a little bit longer of a stay this time around.
High ground right now, the bane of Team Peps, but not going to be claimed quite yet. Mulfig, who has moved over to the D.Va, could dive it at pretty much any point in time, but they're going to wait till that cart reaches the corner. Now with it having done so, they make their way up, maneuver on around to the likes of Ataraxia. Do they abscond? Will they back away? No, they try to challenge for the high ground and pay the price. Hybrid removed the off from the server. Mulfig's looking for ghosts and turns around to find an Orisa. Cart continuing to move forward as Tracer's kept at bay. Hira's unable to put any real pressure because Nog has been playing bodyguard this entire time with Zarion set up on the high ground. We're experiencing exactly what we did when Team Peps were on defense. They've got control and overheat for a couple of seconds there. Losing the support is not boding well for them finishing this off.
Not at all, especially when you see those purples coming in. Oh, and a sleep too.
So
Naga
close.
might be caught here.
Unzo, quick dive, and yeah, Team Peps understand what that means.
Gotta get out at this stage. Ataraxia, I mean, they battled back for control there. That was a lost fight. And
Zerion gave him the chance, man.
Yeah.
that was a bit much.
Nonetheless, though, Peps have all 5 members ready to go yet again here. Window up. Can they find a pick? And already the dive as well.
That looks pretty good. High ground quickly burnt down. Helv and Canale first to fall. Peps are still going to go for it and finish this thing off. Looking for the remaining 3 members around the corner. Naga can smell a pulse bomb, but unfortunately can't taste it quite yet. And with the D.Va on the field, the defense matrix seems all the more likely to remove it out of his hand. Playing patient for the opportunity to win this fight. They know they have the ultimate. They know they've got the chance. Where's the engagement, though? Their D.Va's been remexed. Hero's pulse bomb's been eaten. The Transcendence has been forced out from Team Peps. And I don't think they strike while the Irons hot. Ataraxia have been given a chance to step in here, but with held down, it gets a lot harder.
Oh, great picks there. Great focus on those single targets from Peps. They work down Ataraxia. I mean, first it was the resources, it was all the ult economy, and then it was the actual players after that. I mean, Ataraxia really, gave everything they could to be able to stay in that one. Fortunately for them, they're going to lose that point to Peps, and now Peps is going to be moving forward. However, a lot of emphasis on the high ground at this stage, and especially in this meta, but you're going to be able to see Psycho still looking for that pressure onto those single targets, especially anybody that's out by themselves. You've seen that from Naga and from Zerion as well. And Zerion, obviously, you see him all the way back there, playing as safe as he can now.
And he's learned his lesson on point A, you know? It's a rough one. A well-earned help. Like you said, unlikely to give this position up anytime soon, and ultimates are also relatively few and far between. Using this amp matrix aggressively is particularly difficult. Hybrid overclock is basically only going to get held at this point. No! Psycho gives him an opportunity to use it. He slides into the back line smooth as ever and takes down Bia while they're at it. I think right as they turn around, Molfig realizes, wait, where did my teammates go? Let's manage to finish off the fight, though, with the help.
So Ataraxia taking 2 L's in a row, but they need to build up these ultimates to have a shot here, and I think now they're in a great position to actually stave off Team Peps at a crucial juncture in the map as well. There's a lot of advantage through that respawn, buying some more time too, if they can win this fight. This needs to be a 1 fight for Ataraxia.
Strong decisions to hold. They've got the ultimates to do it. Plenty of sustain to go around, and on a great angle. Naga's trying to get around to force that Ana out of position, but Pulse Bomb's not there. Nobody's home realistically, so it's going to be a front-to-back fight into an Orisa-facing composition. Particularly difficult for the team. The Orisa comes to them. Air Surge used, Zenyatta, good as dead. Helv, another set of 2, another big ultimate, and this guy just cannot be stopped on the horse.
And who thought we were going to come in today and see... obviously an Orisa was likely to get some play at some point, but to see it dominating, especially against such a great team in Peps, nice to see that. However, as we talked about, that was, a must-win fight for Ataraxia if they wanted any hope in being able to defend this long enough to get a win here on this map, steal this one away. Well, now, things look dire, especially as Helv taking all that damage, and they don't have Transcendence to stabilize them. He is still 9% away and needs to get that last few percentage points if they want any chance.
Yeah, you're really watching that 95% tick up. Amplification Matrix comes out. Nano boost from Canale. It's actually going to buy the time for Bia to get the Transcendence up. And he's going to get to use it second. Oh, dear. Zerion steps in. Bia with the better trance gives him the high ground. They run down the Sojourn. Hybrid, he gets out and not unscathed as well. He takes Hero with him. The Ana next to go. The position pretty good for Team Peps to start out, but it all falls to pieces.
Oh, and everybody's sneaking away from that fight as well. You saw that reset come in from Psycho as Bia finishes the job. So Peps just kind of came undone a little bit halfway through that fight, despite being in a decent position. After having that first Transcendence, Bia was able to at least stabilize some members of the team long enough for Ataraxia to win that fight. And now look at this, just 20 seconds on the clock, and Team Peps, all they really have to rely on in this fight is gonna be Hybrid. We're trying to maybe force some chaos onto Ataraxia, and that's gonna be difficult given their positional advantage.
Oh, I'm not doubting Hybrid. Not today, that's to say the least. One overclock and a dream. Bia playing safe distances away from it. Overclock popped. Hybrid looking for backline players. He's found Psycho. He's found the meat and potatoes of Ataraxia's composition. It is Helv. He's gotten his sights next. Gives a pump fake up towards Diana. Tells her to go away. This is my prey. Now all the contested card is Hera. But Peps have bought themselves a win off the back of Hybrid.
Great stuff from Peps there. I mean, just as much as we've talked about Ataraxia just kind of pulling things out when... I mean, they're in dire straits. That's exactly what we see here from Team Peps. These teams are just so closely matched. Despite coming into it thinking Team Peps was going to be a dominant force throughout the tournament, and they certainly still are, but Ataraxia is playing, I think, a little bit higher than I expected, and I expected them to play quite high, so a lot to say there. Now Ataraxia, though, can, of course, give a lot of sustain over to Helv or even someone else. They have the option of saying, okay, Helv, you're gonna go ahead and play this corner, and we're gonna be looking for that pick potential on a DPS instead. Although I imagine they'll go for Helv.
Oh, another one for Hybrid. Neither team gets a Tracer. This is basically gonna mean that it's just pure front to back fighting, though. Vincendus is up first for Zerion. Now looks like he's gonna be able to charge it up in time. Effectively, a standoff from either team. Peps understand that their players spawn farther away, though. 5 ults either side. A complete mess on the field. The kitchen sink will be thrown in. It's a matter of when. Trance forced out by the pulse bomb. Now out comes the implication matrix of Kellex. What can they finish off with this, though? It doesn't seem much as Psycho has been forced away using the duplicate to get out. Helv falls! Gets himself too big for his own britches. Goes down to the back line. What will Ataraxia rally around now? It has to be Bia. A pick on the Kellex gives him a chance.
Oh my
but not
God.
enough of one.
Oh my God, Team Peps taking that one away. I mean, no matter who won that, it feels like some kind of steal, even though it isn't. It feels like one. But when we were going into that fight, it felt like there was a clear picture in mind. You got a nano boost Helv. He's the furthest from his ult, obviously, which, you know, do want to generate that, but you also really just want to establish some forward frontline pressure and maybe see if it's enough to cause some chaos, cause some splitting to occur where you can actually isolate a target and get a kill. But so much mitigation coming out from Peps, they really made sure that Helv wasn't able to get very much done and died before being able to even acquire that Terra Surge, that 5th ultimate that they really would have liked to have had in that fight if he was able to be lethal enough. But overall, Team Peps, what a great way to stabilize in the final moments on not 1 but 2 points.
To be fair, this could have been a lot easier for Team Peps. If they managed to close out any of the other points, we would have been done with this map by now.
That's fair.
But man, I don't know if it's clutch from Ataraxia or just like a moderate amount of choking, but this has become a lot more exciting than I think Team Peps want it to be. They want this to be a boring match. They want that veteranmanship, whatever it is, to shine through this roster. And show that they can just, to just come through though and just strong positions and not have to rely on that clutch ability that, yes, they have in players like Hybrid, but no, they don't want to use in a lot of these situations. And as we head in to a 4th map of Esperanza, I think it's something that they're going to look to do yet again. Try and rebound, stop this map, not let it get particularly dynamic, because we know Esperanza can go there. This isn't a Colosseo where you expect things to be relatively solid for most of the map. There are flank routes here there to use. There are a lot of opportunities to pop off, and I think Ataraxia is going to be looking to farm those.
I gotta say, I've been really loving this map, seeing it a lot more as of late. I mean, when we talk about push maps and how we kind of got our first looks at those maps in play, we were kind of stuck into like that Junker Queen meta for a long time there for a bit. So, you know, you start building up these impressions of how these maps are played. But now that we're going into some of these more diverse metas where you're seeing other things being played, we've seen, of course, that Winston setup. We've seen back in the day. We've now seen a lot of diversity coming in. And this map in particular, I think we see quite a lot of it. I mean, we have seen so many different compositions played on this map in particular that this, I think, bodes quite well for a great potential last map, depending on how things go here. Obviously, Ataraxia has a lot of adaptability, and that's what this map can offer you. Even if you get behind, there is potential to come back, despite it being a push map.
Speaking of adaptability, let's talk about who's in. Or rather, who's not in right now. We don't see a sub for Crandon, which is, I think, telling. That adaptability that we said that Molfig has, that we kind of lean towards being able to play a whole host of heroes, really makes him good for going into Ataraxia in a situation like this, especially on a map like Esperanza. where you're not really sure what you're going to be walking into.
Yeah, and I think one thing I'm curious about is if Ataraxia has kind of figured that they've settled into something a little bit here, playing that Orisa, obviously getting some playmaking off of it as well, not just with environmentals, but just really good timing on Terra Surges and just being in the right place, right time, causing separation with the Orisa utility as well. I mean, there's a lot of value to be gained from this pick, as well as the supporting cast around the pick as well. So I think that if we do see the prize, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see something else. We've seen them start maps out, trying to maybe see if that ball would work, maybe seeing if Winston can make something happen, but ultimately they wind up kind of falling back to the Orisa and the safety net that provides to a degree. But overall, Ataraxia could come out with any number of things, and I would still be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense for them, because they just have so much at their disposal. On their side, though, I gotta say, Team Peps, while I would say there is probably less compositions that I would be leaning towards seeing them in, they still do have a whole host of things that they could come out with, and we saw that already on Rialto.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of beating a dead horse, so to speak, with this Orisa thing, because honestly, the pick is hyper flexible. In my opinion, I don't think Team Peps have shown us a real answer to it. They won the map, sure, but every fight they won was through a different avenue, was through a different means, was through either a different clutch play or a different mistake from Ataraxia. And I don't think they've shown us a solid answer to it. If it wasn't the Reinhardt, they had a hard time in that matchup. And then playing the Orisa mirror, I don't think is something that they really want to be doing right about now. Wolfing offered up a whole lot of things, but none of them looked like winning matchups. They looked neutral at best. And I think that solidity that Ataraxia have, I think you should just continue to ask Team Peps questions of like, do you actually have a hard counter to this? Or if we tighten up our play and stop making a couple of those mistakes, are you going to lose options to try and capitalize on?
Yeah, I think one thing that's fortunate for Team Peps is that even in like neutral matchups, they are just so talented that they can come out ahead. And that's why they're ahead in this series as well with that 2-1 lead. But I mean, overall, yeah, you would like to see some advantages, especially when there's just so many different picks that are viable right now in this meta. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I would like to see some of that come through, but overall, it's not necessarily, been happening as of yet. But again, Peps, there's a lot of room for discoverability still. This is just the first series that we're seeing from them. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what we're going to get in this next map.
Now let's go ahead and take a look real quick, because we mentioned this is the first time we're seeing Peps. We can take a look at our bracket and understand just what's gone on here, because of course we do have a whole host of teams that we're not used to seeing for viewers of the Contenders channel.
That's true. And that's coming from us as well, where there are some names where we're like, oh, I'm curious to see how they pan out, because I haven't seen very much or even at all of them. And we're, very much embedded in this ecosystem and in this community. So very excited to see some of this, some players that we've known, some players that we haven't, some teams that we've seen before, some teams that we haven't. But you can see EXO, obviously they did move forward over Sheer Cold in that match there. So they're going to be in a familiar position. That team, I think that they're used to, is being on the winner side of the bracket, but it is a different look for that squad as well.
For all the different looks that we've been given from every one of these teams, I think it's funny. I mean, we mentioned it talking about EU on Plat Chat, but like the density of talent here is such that even in the open division bracket, even with having 8 more teams floating around for them to compete against, pretty much every roster has at least like 3 previous contenders or like veteran players on it that you would regularly know the name of.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the bottom side of the bracket too, because I think this is interesting as well. When you look at NA and you see some of the teams that got forced down into the lower bracket, you're seeing some of that same stuff here. I mean, SMC is a team that, I mean, they are a mainstay. They are a pillar in EMEA contenders, and they're already out of the tournament. Oh yeah, is a team that, I mean, this is a team that a lot of people talk about. I mean, Cloudy even talks about that they're worried about, because they just bring a different element to the table that you just don't scrim against it, you don't practice against it, so it can catch you off guard in the moment. And that might have happened there for SMC. So they're gone, but in the meantime, we can focus our attention back on the match at hand. Ataraxia versus Peps. It is 2-1 in favor of Peps, but now that we're moving into push map, Peps and what they're capable of, especially when we see things kind of break out into these longer form fights. I love the back and forth that we've gotten, and I'm excited to see a little bit more of that, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is anyone's match, I think, is clearer definition, as you can see, of exactly that. What we'll see in 5 seconds is what these teams want to lock in, which is in a lot of push map scenarios, and I would say especially this matchup, a huge rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, yeah. I would be very surprised if we don't
Oh, and
see
Crandop
swaps.
got put in.
Oh,
They put him in
so we
last
do see
minute.
it.
Wow.
All right there. A little bit of time spent looking at the bracket. We weren't paying attention to the roster swaps. That's on us. But nonetheless, Peps, yeah, I do like this swap. I think Peps going back to their roots, see if they can close out the map. Crandop, a very, very capable player. For anybody wondering why he was swapped out for Molfig, it wasn't because of talent. I promise you that. Ataraxia, in the meantime, they're kind of going back to their roots too. They're going back to that round 1 composition that we saw in map number 1 on Antarctica. We see that Winston dive coming out again.
You always wonder what the thought process is. If they thought maybe something slightly different was coming out for Crandop or not. Regardless, this is what they've chosen. Here he gets a side angle. Part presence given over to Peps, but they don't have much space to get working with. Ataraxia just have to choose their opportunity to dive and make sure that it is well coordinated. It's not Crandop. Instead, it's Zerion. They found him on the back line. A headshot connect from Canale, and the buck is passed. Team Peps now have to find a way to respond. Sans May, and they will. Held down to the ground. The Cassie left alive, firing away from the doorway. Not a tank to block these shots anymore. He's just free to farm. You have to be a little bit careful until Zerion gets back to pick up those health bars, but it should be a Peps push.
Yeah, I think fortunately for them, Zerion going down so low means that he's also going to be one of the first to get back as well. So they're going to be able to just neutralize this cart position a little bit. They're still waiting to try to get everybody back. And
it's actually completely neutral. The BAP doesn't have the movement speed to get back compared to the Winston, so it ends up being a kind of handshake at the end of the day. And we're back where we were when we started. Just about a minute taken off the clock instead. This time Zerion in a much safer position to not get headshot by the Kiriko. But now you got other things to worry about, like a Kitsune rush. Ataraxia moves forward boldly, taking down Crandop, melting the health bar and removing him from the server. Hybrid's looking for an off angle to try and find a win through the fight, and he does! Oh, they trade out health! Tanks down for either side. Hybrid forced off, but still holds the position strong, effectively being pocketed here by Zerion, who gives him an AM matrix to play through. Crandop's going to come back in this fight, and we have not moved an inch.
Crandop's going to be coming back real soon here, and it's all going to come down to control. Zerion is just battling for that high ground. You can see Crandop coming in just to force Psycho back. Psycho did a great job of cutting off respawns after that first fight. Now he's making sure to cut them off again in this one. And look, this cart basically hasn't moved.
The immortality feels good, but Overclock from Hero looking even better. Psycho and Hell drop down onto the low HP bars that have been dropped by Kira. Now Crandop without Zerion is next to fall. Finally, a solid win from Ataraxia.
Yeah, so much time spent in neutral. I mean, look at this, like 2.5 minutes
Purgatory, man, I'll tell you what.
Now we'll see Ataraxia gain the lead here and start moving away from some of these angles where you could see a ton of turbo flanks, and I think that's something that Ataraxia has relied on in these fights, is Canale and Psycho working those off angles, Hira playing a different angle as well, and Team Peps just not having the ability to shield all of those angles. Now things get a little bit more linear, a little bit more on the same level ground.
Full charge makes space from Crandop, but this is where Reinhardt really struggles on this map. Reclaiming this high ground is way easier said than done. Even with the Mei, even with the Shatter on the Helve, sound barrier is meant to keep him alive. The shield from Crandop blocks Helve from getting the sound barrier. This guy is on another level. Team Peps turn the robot right around, and they're going to get progress of their own.
500 IQ play there. That's stuff that all Reinhardt should be doing, blocking out that support. You just rarely see it.
You're making me feel real bad about myself right now, Yerix.
You should feel bad, but Peps, I do like their chances in these fights, especially once you get away from that middle section of the map. I think Ataraxia just have a great setup once they get into those positions. It feels like they have great set plays, but look at this. Canale actually getting a little bit of a contest there, just trying to deny them that advantage in the push, but just not enough, not long enough.
Bum out from Psycho, has to recall off the high ground, is out of sync with Health right now. They got to pull this team back, and they do. Resetting everybody into positions for the dive. Get up to the high ground, Kitsune rush used. Psycho's here, but he catches an icicle to the dome. Naga gives him a lobotomy courtesy of May. And now it's Team Peps who can turn this on its head with the sound barrier, trying to keep the Rhine at bay as health, but his health bar is quickly being melted away.
You can see him just forcing... I mean, that disengage is mandatory here, but now the aggression can come out from Team Peps, and on top of that, they're going to have the backup of Hybrid's Deadeye, and Deadeye can just force Ataraxia to basically just give up that heart control and just walk it back, if Peps can keep Hybrid alive. There they go.
I love this from Team Peps, how much they're prioritizing this high ground, how much they're making sure that they have full control of the most powerful positions on the map. Krandop basically doing everything in his power to juggle the robot in the high ground. Amplification Matrix used with the Fire Strike, though, as they've lost said position. Oh, it's the second one! It catches Hera! That's exactly what they needed. The damage pressure been relieved. The Reinhardt can now swing to his heart's content. Pulse Bomb, the last threat to his life, but that doesn't seem long gone. But hell falls. The robot continues to push, and this map will not end beneath 50 meters being pushed. I think we may even see a point being capped, Eric's.
Looks like that's going to be the case here, especially given the fact that Team Peps, I mean, they have some solid tools, some good utility to utilize for this fight, but I don't think Ataraxia is going to just... I don't think they're going to be in a position to actually hold this. They still have to round this corner.
They're
but
going
with
to
the
try.
Speed boost, yeah, with the speed boost, they're actually going to get in position, and they can pull this off. They still have that contest coming in from Psycho.
There's a huge difference here. Krandop's not in position to defend this high ground with the team. He tries to pull back and defend it, but it's just too late. You had to get back up there earlier. That's such a difficult position for a Reinhardt, man. I'm telling you. When you just can't reach the high ground, you've got to leave the robot. Say screw it. Hold the position. It's there too late. And now Helven team gonna recruit the robot on their side. Sound barrier. Holy! Team Peps are committing. They're gonna try and buy time for the Reinhardt to get back in this fight. Zerion has been juggled into Narnia. Hybrid's getting the same treatment. And the sound barrier to try and get Krandop back in the fight, to try and wait for the Reinhardt to come in their knight in shining armor. Just doesn't arrive in time.
But look at this. I mean, when we get away from the fight and zoom back out again, Kellogg's, yeah, I mean, he popped the sound barrier, Peps committed, but look what was committed on the other side. Ataraxia forced 3 ultimates out there. We saw both support ultimates, Helv's ult when he was juggling as well, and now there's an opportunity here if they don't get pulse bombed by Psycho, who's hiding and lying in wait here right behind them right now, and they've lived it, so they can contest and they still have push advantage.
I mean, how do you use the shatter is the big question you're kind of asking yourself right now. It's not easy. You're playing into the high ground. Krandop's just going to eat a lot of damage here. Groups on the high ground, a beautiful off angle. A shatter does eventually come out from Krandop onto Held. He's going to solo shatter the tank, and that should be all they need to get through this fight. Now it's just about walking safely up to the high ground. Oh, they don't respect Canale and Hero, though. Oh, it's 2 picks for Ataraxia. It's falling apart. Dear God, Peps are watching it melt away in their hands.
That was just such a clear win for Peps, and Ataraxia stole it away from them. I mean, here in Psycho yet again.
You can't even mad. You just like put your hands up and be like, well,
you gotta respect it.
Yeah, what do we even do? Like, sometimes they just click heads.
So now you got forward respawn advantage here as well for Ataraxia, and with this high tempo composition, this pacing is going to be in their favor, because even if they lose someone, if they can brawl things out a little bit, as we see that swap from Naga and Krandop, obviously clearly a focus on dealing with health here to a degree.
Krandop does go into the back line. It's not up quite yet. Psycho's coming up on a pulse bomb, and Canale's coming up on a Kitsune Rush. And Ataraxia, they want to maintain this momentum, but they're unable to. Helv and Bia were just too low. Canale tries to use a Kitsune Rush to try and turn the fight around, but it's not going to happen. You know what? I'm not going to doubt Hero right now. I'm going to give Hero time to cook. Okay, he's dead.
He's earned that.
Yeah, exactly.
From the grave, maybe not so much, but Ataraxia getting set back up. I mean, they do have, of course, the ability to get those forward respawns, so they're going to be able to attack this and pressure this bot position very, very early. You can see them already getting into position as well. Psycho just working his way around the backside. You're seeing, obviously, a major intent from Kellogg's to mark that tracer, but it's been a problem.
I mean, it's a lot easier said than done. Oh, God, Hero claims another soul. Naga falls. How do you get back into this fight? You don't have a threat against the Winston. Hybrid from the high ground might be your only way through, but Hero is on another level right now. This guy is going sicko mode, and I don't think anybody's going to stop him anytime soon. Ataraxia flip it, and the only silver lining here for Team Peps is that at least they have a time left.
I'm going to say a thing that I shouldn't say out loud. I know a lot of people are thinking it right now, but I shouldn't say it out loud, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Do it, Hirix.
I don't see a world where we don't go to a map 5.
Wow! You have really put... If Ataraxia loses this, I expect some invoices to come in very quickly. Hira, another onto Hybrid. I mean, this is a gap at this point. The man can't be stopped. Winston down, Sound Barrier to keep this alive for Ataraxia. The Kitsune Rush is an option here for Team Peps. They still have ultimates, but Kelly's down without the Sound Barrier being used to the Primal Rage of Hell. 10 seconds on the clock, and the check marks remain checked at the top of Team Peps screens. They never get the opportunity to use them. They were ripped from their hands by Ataraxia. The final moments will fall off the clock, and fortunately for Hirix, he is not proven wrong. A map 5 is in the cards.
Wasn't a particularly risky gamble, I'll say, but hey, a win's a win, right? Ataraxia probably feeling the very same, but I think we have to give a lot of credit. Obviously, the whole team plays well. I don't mean to bring this up to put pull any emphasis away from the rest of the squad, but Hira and Psycho, the ability that they have to just create something out of virtually nothing, that's the mark of legends, man. I mean, that's what you're looking for when you're looking for, okay, who are some future-proof playmakers that we can really get behind? That's what you're looking for.
And you have to think, like, for a team that has a lot of those newer players to EU, again, we're putting some big air quotes on that, it just is a matter of time until that becomes consistent. Until it's every single map you're seeing Hira do stuff like that.
Now as we prepare here, because obviously there's still more in front of us, right? I mean, I did just go into the fact that there's guaranteed going to be a map number 5. Well, that's exactly what we're getting, and we had some longer matches before this, but in our last 2 series, but this one's going the distance. Definitely don't want to miss any of the action that's about to transpire. We're going to be going into a map 5 in just a bit. We'll see you there for it.
Old versus new, the dinosaurs of Europe versus the young bloods is what we've got on our hands, and it's gone all the way up to a map number 5. Yes, you're included in the dinosaurs thing. It's going to be Nepal to round out the series, and it has been close all the way up until here.
I feel like I've been ground down into fossil fuel at this point. But we're going to be diving into Nepal here. Going to be moving on to a map number 5, man. What excitement, though, already for EMEA as a whole, because, I mean, obviously we've seen 2 really solid matches. We go into this one expecting that, hey, this could look pretty cool. We might see some back and forth, but Peps has been touted as one of the best teams in the region. Ataraxia certainly up there, but from a lot of the teams that I've been kind of talking with, it seems like Peps is real high. The level that they're playing, they seem very capable of taking on anybody, it seems.
Yeah, and as we go into our final map, I mean, Nepal is anybody's game at this point. We saw the game start off really defined by the Reinhardt play on control points, but Antarctica is a very different map to Nepal. I mean, when you think about Reinhardt on Nepal, you think about Village, but outside of that, it can be pretty tricky to run. Shrine is okay, and then Sanctum is not somewhere we like to see it more often than not. And the Orisa can really thrive in situations like that. So as much as it technically was Team Peps map pick to come here, this is definitely neutral ground.
Yeah, I think certainly more so than Antarctica. I think these perfect point that you're making there. But maybe this does show that there's going to be some other element in play here for Team Peps, because as much as we've seen when Krandop is in, that they have been liking to go towards the Reinhardt compositions, and that certainly may just be the case for, like you said, maps like Village, maps like Shrine. There is certainly an opportunity on Sanctum for them to go another direction. Very solid Orisa if they want to go for the one-to-one mirror, so that is certainly a possibility. They can still go for things like Winston compositions there as well, and that also could service them well. Certainly on the other side, Ataraxia have shown those looks already. I expect them at this stage to probably pull something like that out at some stage in this map, should we go all 3 rounds and see all the 3 different sub-maps. But yeah, still a lot of balls in the air to juggle with, and it's difficult to pick just which one is going to be the one that actually lands in their hand that they decide to select.
I'm really excited. I think this is kind of the pinnacle of the series, to take it back to where we started and see kind of what both teams learned, because Ataraxia's whole thing throughout this series has been adaptation, has been learning on the fly, has been figuring out how to beat them at their own game, and it's been stressful. My hair has just been more and more messed up after every single map here, because I expect it to be in complete disarray.
I had a full head when we started, man. So.
But I'm so excited to see how these teams have adapted to one another in the series. Like, Team Peps doesn't seem to have budged, but they know coming into this that there's bound to be an Orisa somewhere. But map order also changes a lot. Honestly, it's a really dynamic position. We're starting things off on Village.
And what a place to start, too, because
this is the
one. Exactly. This is the one where you can see probably the highest probability of a direct head-to-head matchup once again of the Rhine v Rhine, because that's just, I mean, realistically, it's probably the best composition objectively at this stage on this map with where the meta is at right now. Yes, I think there are probably some teams that would combat that take. But overall, I think you'll see most teams opting for this style of composition here. So I'm curious to see how this winds up panning out, because obviously we saw a lot of emphasis on the walls coming in from Naga on Team Peps. But, you know, since then, we've seen Naga quieted down a little bit in terms of just the direct, immediate impact. Obviously, not to say that he has been playing poorly, because he absolutely hasn't. But
not after a wall like that. Yeah.
Doing it again.
Gorge went on the hill. Nets on the high ground. The health bars are irredeemable at this point for Ataraxia. They have to forego this position. The Cassidy's going to wrap around to try and rejoin the team. Wait, they take a 4v5. The Cassidy's still rotating. I don't know if you can get away with this. Team Peps have a man advantage effectively going into that engagement, and a miscommunication on the side of Ataraxia punished.
Yeah, that is a very rare misplay from Ataraxia. Very, very rare. Forcing that, trying to see if they could find that opening pickoff, and you see Hira in that fun position that you can get into now with the new combat role mechanics. But I'm very curious to see Hira versus Hybrid here, because I think there is going to be quite a bit of flanking. You can see Hira focusing on that as much as possible, and I think it's going to be up to Hybrid and even maybe Naga and Zirian to try to force that pressure onto Hira and deny those opportunities.
The flank's certainly not a thing right now for Ataraxia. They have to all come from one side, try and play safe through the amplification matrix. The fire strikes whiz by without catching. Oh no, and they got Zerion right at the end. Oh, a disaster now for Team Peps. How do you play this? You don't have an amp matrix to re-engage with. You're getting your own fire strikes blocked. There's Baptiste POV from Spawn, just in case you guys were wondering where he was. Sure, Ataraxia though, stuck on point. A good boop! Oh my god, Kellex! The experience shines through, pushing them all into the blizzard. A sound barrier to bolster the fight. Is quickly flipped on its head by Team Peps, patiently playing that one, waiting for the right moment to strike with their blizzard. With the help of Kellex, it connects.
It lived just long enough, and even with Naga dropping, I mean, a great play there from Ataraxia to find that kill and just kind of equalize things. It just wasn't enough. When the blizzard came out, it was just enough to deal with Helve, and Hybrid took him out of the equation. Now they have control again, and they still have the amp matrix. I mean, they're still holding on to it here, and now I think they're going to try to use it as this Deadeye comes out.
All's used, Deadeye is just going to mean 10 seconds off the clock. Some damage done to Helve shield. More an annoyance than anything else. It's the amp matrix that you're worried about. That should just buy more and more time here for Team Peps. See if the fire strike connects. There it is, coordinated, the wall blocks, and the shatter on everybody! Dear God! Cover the children's eyes, this is not safe to watch at home. Ataraxia has just completely demolished Team Peps in inglorious fashion.
Grandop was looking to go toe-to-toe. Trade swings. Elf said no thank you. Ataraxia in a great position now with the high ground control. They're going to have that amp matrix again. Of course, Team Peps, they're sneaking. They're all crouched up, and you can see them already forcing their way over. They could take high ground away. Ataraxia is going to gift it to them, actually.
And if they drop, they're playing into the amp matrix again. Ataraxia like these positions. The fire strikes through amp matrix has been very good so far from Helve. Just a matter of time. Let's check the timing. Helve drops relatively low here. The Maywall to peel for him, but that means that Nagas will remain uncontested when they engage here. And yeah, Helve's in a whole world of hurt. No answer. A shot that felt kind of personal. Crandop, to be completely honest, but is going to shatter the remaining members who were relatively free. No healer to keep them up other than Kellex, so they have to play slowly to let the health bars rise for Team Peps. In fact, Crandop also doesn't have a shield. This is maybe a lot more even than it once was. Oh, especially with health back. Wait, this is bad. The health, Crandop's health bar hasn't gone up in like 9 years. Oh, Zerion's playing Spawn Simulator. Oh, Sound Barrier keeps him alive. Thank God. Zerion was going to get so tilted if I was him.
Just like that, you can see Helve stuck in this corner. There's the 25% immortality. It's just even still not enough. Now Peps will once again get the flip, but now with Ataraxia now at 99%. I mean, obviously it comes down to what is going to be this last fight, and it's all going to be about jockeying for position here. And I think one thing that could favor Team Peps actually is that swap that they have of Hybrid over to the Symmetra. They're going to have that big wall that's going to help protect them and insulate their players in spite of all the damage that can come out, especially from Hero, who's working the flank here, has the Deadeye.
And just positional ultimate in a position where you need to be on point. The Shatter comes out, the Deadeye doesn't connect. Blizzard available here for Naga, and everyone looking to get frozen, but he can't land it. Instead, I think it's interrupted. The Shatter from Crandop was all they needed in the end. Team Peps win a map that, honestly, they needed to win. We didn't get to talk about it here, but this was not an opportunity where Team Peps are like, okay, we can go 50-50, we'll take the other two. No, you needed to win that map. No questions asked.
Yeah, and stole it in a nail biter there as well. I mean, overall, Helve putting on a show here as well. I mean, standing up to Crandop. I think when you look at EMEA and you look at the talent pool and the way that people have been talking about it throughout the offseason is, you know, obviously there's been a lot of focus, and rightfully so, on players like Crandop. But it feels like every season, like Helve, despite being one of the best tanks for years, kind of just gets left out of that conversation. And I hope now with Pro-Am, especially if Ataraxia can move forward through this bracket a little bit further and have more
make his way onto the side of the point. I mean, this is the dream Nepal rotation for Team Peps. They get Village into Shrine. They might not even have to see Sanctum to win this series, which would be a miracle for them. And in fact, the miracle looks even better now as Hybrid's taken down via support's lacking for Ataraxia. The shift has been used by Baptiste. What other stabilization tools do they actually have? I don't think any. I think this is a clean cap for Peps.
Peps taking early control. Ooh, nice pick there as well.
Man.
No canal means no sustained healing, so that is a definite give up for Ataraxia. They go back to respawn, and you can see T-Peps also just trying to get a little bit, get away with a little bit more as well. They're trying to get that ult charge up, make sure that they have every advantage that they can possibly get, because you've seen just how close these two teams really are. So, you know, the difference of 8% ult charge might mean a team fight win. Ataraxia are moving their way over, just trying to go toe-to-toe. Level ground. Ooh, a nice fake, actually. Does it actually accomplish much, though, here?
I think they're trying to fake out the M Matrix, maybe. Either way. Not much found. The quick rotate back. M Matrix up for either side, but Ataraxia are holding very strong inside of theirs. This is risky when there's fire strikes raining in from every angle. Elf does survive it, though, and makes his way forward. Now it's Crandop under pressure. Ataraxia support trying to inch forward, but with somebody as dangerous as Hybrid on the other side, who's able to produce his third first pick in a row. What are you gonna do, man?
Great roll from Hybrid as well, just to make sure that they don't go 1-for-1. You see that bomb coming out, or that grenade coming out. So now 65%. This is looking a lot more dominant and in favor of Team Peps. And if Ataraxia can't string something together pretty soon here, I mean, this is...
Ults are on deck. Oh, God. Crandop's got a mean charge lined up. Oh, the blizzard. The wall. He just escaped.
Yeah. That's a lot used there, though. Ataraxia kind of weasel their way out of it. Unfortunately for them, time is just still not on their side. So that, I think Peps still feel like that's kind of a victory. Maybe a little bit shallower, but victory nonetheless.
The big one's sound barrier advantage. Helix has one. That's 20% off, and Helv is back in spawn. This has been a masterclass by Team Peps. They end the series how they started it, with dominant play. 99% to nothing. Beyond gets a sound barrier all too late. And despite the heroics of Hera, Ataraxia are bound for the lower bracket. Team Peps move on.
Wow, what a series there. What a day as well. I mean, every match just gave us so much. Now down to that final series of the day, and we get this. Crandop coming back in, making massive plays. We see these Reinhardt rush compositions coming out, going toe-to-toe with Helv, who has long in EMEA been one of the best Reinhardts that we've seen. I think one thing that we do have to reiterate is the fact that this team, Ataraxia, is a team that we expect to develop and get better as they produce more and more results. Ideally, some good results. We would love to see that from them, as, I mean, pretty much say that about every team now, but Team Peps, I think that experience shines through there. That veterancy, that ability to have that cohesion and some of the synergy in the big plays, like with those walls and knowing what to do in these final moments. I talk to players all the time, Dor, about how, you know, when things get down to map number 5, as much as players don't want to admit it, there's a lot of players that do actually get those jitters, and I don't expect that Peps was feeling that at all.
No, I mean, a team with that much experience is built for series like this. I mean, Lord knows Peps has been in too many best of 5s and best of 7s that have gone to the final map to count. And I think they know what it's like to both win and lose them, but when the rubber hits the road today, they make it count. They keep themselves in winner's bracket. That's going to be huge moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, we're going to be checking in to see if we've got an interview ready. We're just checking to see who exactly they want to send forward. And of course, when we come back from this break, we'll be talking to them if we have one. If not, we'll run you through the bracket and see what's going down for the next time that we do see you. So you definitely want to stay tuned. We'll see you back soon.